Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Please introduce yourself to the court and spell your last name for the record.
My name is Luke Eccles. It's Echholls.
Mr. Eccles, what do you do for a living?
Well, I'm the head of the security department at Rock the World Amusement Park. It's a job I take very seriously because I took an oath to protect and serve the civilians that come into Rock the World.
How did you become a security officer?
Well, I come from a long line of law enforcement. My grandfather and my dad were both cops, so naturally that's what I wanted to be. Unfortunately, I failed my physical exam at the police academy after I got stuck in one of the tunnels on the obstacle course. So I figured out a more unique way to protect and serve. I'm now a security enforcement officer.
Mr. Eccles, I want to talk a little bit about Rock the World now. How big is the park?
It's a pretty nice sized park. It's not as big as the Universal Studios, which is good because I don't like to do too much walking, but it's big enough to keep me busy.
Mr. Eccles, when did you start working at the park?
I've been with Rock the World since 2009.
In 2009, what exactly did you do as a security officer?
Mainly crowd control. At that time, the customers were able to walk in and out of the park, which was chaos and made my job a headache. That's when I started trying to suggest different ways the park might start tracking these customers.
Do you know if the park ever started to track customers as they came in or out?
Well, in 2010, the owner of the park, J.C. Longstreet, he hired an accountant, Haley Floyd. She started a wristband system, and they started tracking customers that way.
Do you know how that wristband system worked?
Well, the wristbands that they would pass out to the customers, they all had numbers on them, and the ticket booth operator would keep track of them.
Once the park got that wristband system, did your role as security change in any way?
After the wristband system was implemented, I was stationed at the front of the park to make sure that the wristbands that the customers had on were coming from a single source, which was our ticket booth. I had to perform visual inspections on all the wrists of all the customers to make sure that their wristbands were park issued.
Mr. Eccles, I now want to talk about an employee named Miss Whitney Bowman. Do you remember working at the park with her?
I did. Whit used to bring me donuts, and they were glazed.
Mr. Eccles, do you know when Miss Bowman started working at the park?
Whit was hired in 2011. She came as the ticket booth operator.
Did she work again in 2012?
Yes, she did.
Where did she work in 2012?
Well, after Mr. Longstreet hired a new person to work the ticket booth named Cameron Poole, Whit was moved to the ride. She became a ride operator.
You said that the park hired someone named Cameron Poole to work in that ticket booth. Please describe him for us.
Cameron Poole is a big, burly guy. I mean, big like meat, but he don't carry his weight as well. You know, he's a bit more muscular.
Once Cameron Poole started working in the ticket booth, you said that Miss Bowman started working some of the rides. Do you know which rides she normally worked in 2012?
Whit normally worked a ride called the Mind Eraser, but on occasions she would take over from one of the other ride operators named Billy Isaac, and she'll work at the Tunnel of Terror at the end of her shift.
How often would Miss Bowman cover for Mr. Isaacs at the Tunnel of Terror?
She would cover for Mrs. Isaacs every time she would leave early.
And I want to talk about what you saw coming from the ticket booth in 2012. You told us earlier about a wristband system that was implemented at the park. When Cameron Poole was in the ticket booth, what sort of wristbands did you see coming from that ticket booth?
When Cameron Poole was in the booth, I started noticing faded, flimsy wristbands with none of the tracking numbers on them.
Did you ever see any of those wristbands without the tracking numbers when Miss Bowman was working in the ticket booth?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Well, as head of security, did you have any reason to suspect that Miss Bowman was involved in a wristband scheme in 2012?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Did the police ever question you about Miss Bowman's involvement in a wristband scheme prior to August 30th?
No, they did not.
Did the park's owner ever question you about Miss Bowman's involvement in a wristband scheme prior to August 30th?
Me and Mr. Longstreet had no such conversations.
When did you speak with police?
I spoke with police after Cameron Poole robbed the park. After he got away, they spoke to me for about 5 minutes, but it wasn't about Whit Bowman, it was about park procedure.
Mr. Eccles, At any point during the police investigation, did they ever question you about Ms. Bowman's involvement in a wristband scheme?
No, they did not.
Thank you. I have no further questions.